Good evening, this is Maestro Cretella with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Tonight we have a 1 vs 1 on Outer Reaches with Templar Money Ghost as this Space Marine Apothecary, a healing commander, not a great fighter, but just can be very annoying when he's healing tactical Marines and Assault Marines. On the other side we have Maestro Cretella as the Chaos Sorcerer, Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer. This offensive, I don't know if he's really offensive, this commander has a lot of long-range functionality with Doom Bolts and teleporting. Also has a lot of interesting spells in Tier 2 and Tier 3 that can be pretty devastating. So, anyway, this is the second of three games that I played with Templar Money Ghost. I uploaded the first one before this, and I lost the first one. Kind of talked a bit about a lot of things I did wrong in there, and I was also kind of trying to talk about the matchup a bit. So this is a matchup that for a long time I heard favors Space Marines rather than Chaos. And I used to play the Space Marine Apothecary, used to be my main hero, but these days I main the Chaos Sorcerer. So, I'm pretty familiar with both these heroes. For a long time I did not understand why this matchup supposedly favored Space Marines, but I was kind of trying to come to a better understanding of it. So, since I lost kind of bad, well, I didn't lose that bad, but I lost in the first game. I'm switching things up now. I've gone for double Heretics instead of double Chaos Space Marines. Now, one of the reasons I did that was, I was kind of saying before in my previous replay that the problem with double Chaos Space Marines is that it's just not really enough, it doesn't really make enough of an impact, especially against the Apothecary. I think it's important to have that high impact, those high impact units, because you can, double Chaos Space Marines are just going to chip away attack health, but then the attacks are just going to get healed by the Apothecary. And then that's going to result in the Chaos Space Marines bleeding when they eventually lose a model, and attacks not bleeding at all, and not even getting forced off the field. So this time I've gone for double Heretics. First of all, it's a cheaper build, so I've already gotten 3 units on the field very quickly, and I've already got more of a gen farm up than Templar Money Ghost has. I've also taken the advantage in map control, capturing both the contested power as well as the contested victory point. I have been kind of forced off. So these Heretics are going to be kind of a higher impact unit than double Chaos Space Marines. They are obviously certainly much squishier, but they're nowhere near as durable as the Chaos Space Marines, but they're going to have higher impacts. And by higher impact, I kind of mean they're going to do more in a shorter period of time, as long as I manage them well. Being a melee unit, they just have a much higher base DPS than the Chaos Space Marines, and then that Doom Blast ability is very good. As you can see, I already got double Aspiring Champions. And I got double Aspiring Champions just because Heretics without Aspiring Champions are incredibly squishy. They have 75 health per model, which is the lowest health per model for any unit in the entire game, except for, I don't know what Rippers have. I think Rippers have less, but those hardly count. The Aspiring Champion just goes a long way to increasing the durability and survivability of the squad. And then even with the Aspiring Champion, it's not going to be that durable of a squad. So Templar Money Ghost did kind of win that first engagement. Not too significantly, but he did kind of win it. Actually has Sergeant already up on his scouts, using that as a melee counter instead of shotguns, but loses 3 out of 4 models on that scout squad, coming very close to losing that scout squad. I think he even wiped some of his own with the grenade blast. So, and what I did before in that first engagement was double worship with the Heretics. And double worship with the Heretics, particularly with Tzeentch worship, is kind of an early game gimmick that can be very powerful, but it's also easily nullified once your opponent gets detectors. And right now, Templar Money Ghost did get detectors on both of his scout squads, did get those double sergeants in response to my double Heretics. Since basically, if you're double worshipping, neither squad is visible. So then your opponent has no idea what's there. And in the early game, there can't be that much there, but there can either be a Sorcerer ready to use Doom Bolts, which will do a lot of damage, and there can also be a Chaos Space Marine squad right there, ready to just do some ranged fire. And then whatever squads are around can't really afford to approach the double worship because then they're walking into 2 Heretic squads that can unworship and Doom Blast and also just do a lot of melee damage because they're 2 Heretic squads. So that early gimmick is already over and is already going to be ineffective. This fight right here, we have a pretty significant range blob with attack squad and 2 scouts kind of in the middle there, all blobbed up. So I'm kind of having my Chaos Space Marines draw range fire while I tried to go around from both sides with my Heretics. But Templar Money Ghost already has this Devastator right here, going for a ranged heavy build this game. So that kind of puts a wrench in my plans. Another reason I actually like to go double Heretics sometimes is actually to use that second Heretic as a capping unit. Certainly in the last game, I kind of kept my Chaos Space Marines around mainly as a fighting unit, and I kind of needed them as a fighting unit as long as I had them. So this time, I kind of have them as a capping unit, basically getting a Heretic for map control. And Chaos struggles a bit on map control, especially in 1 versus 1. They're one of the worst races when it comes to map control. Even though they're considered a good race overall, a lot of that has to do with just their fighting ability and their ability to win engagements. There was an old joke someone once told me that, like, Chaos map control is win engagement and then cap. We actually had a full retreat there, and I thought that was kind of an odd full retreat. He probably didn't know that my Devastator, my Havoc firing arc was kind of off, but he probably saw that the Havoc was there, knew that he did not have any real suppression counters, and saw that more units were coming, so he just got out of there before he took any losses from, like, the Heretics. So, in this game, obviously, last game did not work out very well for me, so I'm going for some different things in this game. First, I have the double Heretics. I also have a Havoc. I have a longer tier 1, and I actually got Vestments of the Warp and Sword of Flame on my Chaos Sorcerer. That's kind of a very... Oh, and right here, there's a grenade going off, and watch this. It instantly wipes that whole Heretic squad. Now, unfortunately, I kind of saw that coming, but I also quickly checked my units up here just because I didn't want to drop my micro up here, just in case some of his units were up top, ready to engage my units up top. And then I basically checked this down here and watched my Heretics get wiped right as the grenade was thrown, and I just didn't quite react in time. I knew it was coming, but then I checked my units up here quickly, trying to handle everything, and I lost that Heretic squad. So unfortunately, my double Heretic build kind of already goes to waste. Losing that one squad. And Havoc's right here. Fortunately, this time I'm paying attention, and those Havocs actually get out of there without getting hit by that grenade at all. So Templar Money Ghost really trying to use those grenades, and certainly getting Sergeants on your Scouts is a pretty good upgrade these days. Scouts are still going to be doing not that great ranged fire, but those grenades, they give them another potential melee counter. As a melee counter, grenades are a lot more high risk, high reward than the shotgun blast. There's a chance that you can miss it and get nothing, but there's also a chance that you can get a lot more damage and bleed than if you use a shotgun blast. Now what I did here, I have that teleport on my Sorcerer, and I actually teleported him into the range blob so that he could stall out that whole range blob and just give my Heretics some extra time to Gen Bash. And I actually get off a pretty nice Gen Bash here. I think I had at least 2 generators. Yeah, I think I got down 2 generators. And fortunately, my Heretics get out of there. Only going to take a few mono losses. Razorback already out on the field from Templar Money Ghost. I see it because it's shooting at my units. So I immediately go for that Plague Marine squad. Now, Plague Marines are a unit that I'm kind of ambivalent about. I kind of think they're not that good. I actually decide not to upgrade my Havoc to a las cannon. I decide to just try to deal with that Razorback just with the Chaos Havoc squad. I mean, just with the Plague Marine squad. And I actually kind of think Plague Marines are not that great. There was a time when AV with Chaos used to not be a problem because people would just say, like, all of Tier 2 is AV. These days, Chaos is actually, ironically, at least in my opinion, kind of ironically, having a little bit of trouble with AV. So right now, I'm mainly using that Plague Marine squad to deal with the Razorback. I'm actually intentionally path blocking the Razorback and chasing after it with my Heretics to try to slow it down and threaten it. The only problem is that I kind of forgot to micro the one unit that actually mattered, which are the Plague Marines. Without the Plague Marines, I can't kill the Razorback. But these Plague Marines, they're kind of not as good as they used to be. Their speed is slower than it is in retail. They don't do a lot of damage with their missile. And they're also not as durable as they once were because of the fact that they don't heal themselves with their death explosion. They'll heal other friendly units, but they won't heal themselves. So I was trying to chase after the Razorback with the Plague Marine squads, but they're getting tied up a lot. Luckily, I'm bringing my Havoc squad in here. We'll suppress that Apothecary, and then Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines right here are actually doing some damage to that Apothecary. Are going to force him off, or he will die. So he does get forced off right here, and these Plague Marines still in a little bit of trouble. The problem right now is that they're having trouble with the repair on the Razorback. So Plague Marines do good damage in a single shot, but they just have a low fire rate, long reload time, so they don't do that great damage. Luckily, I do kind of manage that engagement well enough that I do take out the Razorback with those Plague Marines, although I do suffer 3 model losses on the Plague Marines. The Havoc squad right here really helped me out, and that was kind of really what turned the engagement in my favor. And I actually have my Heretics, they're actually kind of bashing this contested victory point that Templar Money Ghost kind of keeps noting, which you probably shouldn't. And, oh, we have a grenade right here, and watch this. Another full grenade wipe. Very, very difficult to deal with. He's getting a lot out of those grenades. Could even throw another one here, but ultimately doesn't. Although certainly, if he had missed the grenade wipe, or missed that other grenade on the Chaos Space Marines right there, it definitely would have been a losing battle for him. Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines hard counter scouts very hard. They hard counter hard. I know it's redundant, but I just said it. But then the Chaos Sorcerer here. Alright, so Templar Money Ghost is going for Stern Guard Veterans, which is kind of not that great of a choice. They will actually lose to these Chaos Space Marines, these Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines right here, even if the Sorcerer wasn't right there. But especially with the Sorcerer right there, they were going to lose that engagement, so he just instantly retreats so that he doesn't take any bleed. So I went for a slightly more traditional Sorcerer build right here. I got the Sword of Flame and the Vestments of the Warp, still only level 1, but I've been using him to kind of teleport into the range blobs and just tie them up. Just tie up that range damage so that they can't do their range damage, and that's actually very helpful. It's kind of, you know, it's a choice that I sometimes wonder what the best thing to do is. Like with the Sorcerer, he has two main long-range things, which are Doom Bolts and teleporting. Doom Bolts is way more powerful than teleporting. But with the teleporting, you get that tie-up factor, which is you get that unit, that ranged unit, not doing any more damage because it's in melee with the Sorcerer. Anyway, as you can see, I got Bloodletters now. And these Bloodletters, they've kind of fallen out of prominence in the Chaos metagame, or just Chaos play in general, because they no longer do heavy melee. They only do regular melee. I mean, they do power melee now. But I think they're actually still very good. I've been using them to teleport in against those Devastator Marine squads, and they actually killed 2 models off that Devastator Marine squad. And I have the Sorcerer solo bashing right here with the Sword of Flame, but now the Bloodletters teleport back in. Another really good thing about the Bloodletters is their suppression immunity, and that's actually something that's really underrated, and something that's working out really well for me right now, because they're just destroying those attacks. I mean, they're going to start taking more damage as they get closer, but they're still just really threatening those units. Grenade goes off but misses, and there the Bloodletters do kind of overextend, but they did way better than most other units would have done in that situation, because they just kind of walked up straight in there through the suppression, basically through the Devastator fire. And if you think about it, Devastators are kind of bad against Bloodletters, because suppression teams don't do that much damage at long range, and then the Bloodletters don't even get suppressed. So this build for the Sorcerers working out a lot better for me this game. Basically just having them go in, tie up those range units so that the rest of my army can just kind of do what they do without taking that much damage. And especially if I have the Chaos Sorcerer focus on the attacks, that's going to be the main source of damage. The Stern Guard Veterans, to be exact. That single Stern Guard Veteran squad, I don't know the exact stats, but I know that a regular attack squad with a Sergeant will actually do more damage than both of these fully upgraded scout squads combined. Well, not fully upgraded, but upgraded to Sergeants. That one Sergeant attack squad does more damage than 2 Sergeant scouts. Anyway, victory points are very even. Map control has kind of been going back and forth. Losses have happened on both sides. Actually, I don't know if Templar Money Ghost is actually... Yeah, he lost the Razorback. And now he's actually going for Terminators. Alright. Sorcerer teleports in there. Terminators right here. The problem with the Terminators is that I'm getting Tome of Subjugation. And the Terminators are in melee with the Bloodletters. Bloodletters are doing a ton of damage now that they are power melee. The Bloodletters, they start to run low on health, so I actually make them, shift them into the warp, out of existence, so that they can regenerate their health while invincible. And now these Terminators are subjugated, they're doing damage to his units, and the Sternguard Veteran Squad goes down from all that power melee damage. Alright, the Terminators do go back in control of Templar Money Ghost, but now they're without a teleport. One of the main things you do with Tome of Subjugation is you burn the teleport on Terminators, so that they have to just straight up walk out of there. And these Terminators will make it out alive for this engagement, but they're taking a ton of damage, lose one model, might even lose another one. Apothecary's still kind of in there helping them out, but even if I lose a Bloodletter model is not worth nearly as much as a Terminator model. Anyway, I ultimately win that engagement. And I bring in Terminators of my own. So, Terminators of my own are going to also do a very good job, since right now, look at the damage they do to that Apothecary. Chaos Terminators, the problem right now with Templar Money Ghost build is that he doesn't really have anything that's going to be good against my Terminators. Even though Space Marine Terminators have more health, they are not going to be that effective against the Chaos Terminators, because all of Templar Money Ghost units do regular piercing damage. Piercing has a very severe penalty against super heavy infantry armor, so none of his units are going to be doing a lot of damage. Meanwhile, I obviously have my Bloodletters doing power melee damage, bonus against heavy infantry and super heavy infantry, and then I have the Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines doing full damage to super heavy infantry, and they'll be very good against them too. So now this Plague Marine squad, I've only reinforced it to 2 models, and I actually bashed another power node that Templar Money Ghost put up here. Plague Marines, again, I kind of don't think they're that good, but they definitely did well for me in this game. One of the things about Plague Marines is that they don't do that much damage to regular infantry. They're not even that powerful against vehicles. So usually once you destroy a vehicle, they're kind of lost without a purpose. But one of the things you do with them is you bash generators. You also have them cap. And you actually kind of shouldn't even reinforce Plague Marine models that much, because the extra models don't do much. Anyway, here we have another engagement going down. I kind of have my Sorcerer and my Bloodletters in the back. Bloodletters teleport again on that heavy that Devastator team, and this engagement is going heavily in my favor, subjugating his Terminators, doing a ton of damage with my Terminators. Now with the autocannon, wipe the scouts, come very close to wiping that Devastator, and this is an engagement definitely significantly in my favor. And now that the Terminators are back in his control, again, I burn the teleport, but now he has to walk his Terminators back while I'm doing a ton of damage with everything I have. Basically, the Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, the Chaos Terminators, as well as my Bloodletters. Templar Money Ghost does call a GG, though, so that was the end of that game. Hope you enjoyed it. So this was the second of 2 games. I kind of played a little better here. Templar Money Ghost, after we had played those 2 games, he had actually... The funny thing was, we played those 2 games, and then he sent the first game to me in an email, actually, as a replay submission. So I decided to cast that. I also decided to cast this one, which I saved. I played a little better here. Pretty good games. So, obviously, some things I definitely did better in this matchup. One of the things is I actually used Sorcerer Worship. I did not use it at all in the first match. And then those Terminators. Don't get Terminators against the Sorcerer. Don't do it. Get a Land Raider. I mean, I couldn't have done that. Well, I had some things to do with a Land Raider, but probably not enough. Get a Land Raider against the Sorcerer. Don't get Terminators. Hope you enjoyed the cast. Have a good night.